What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So I was reading through a bunch of the comments this morning, and this wasn't the video that I had planned for right now, but I wanted to answer a question that I kept getting is, how are you preparing? How are you preparing for what's coming? Well, I started to write down and jot down some different things that I was doing and how you could potentially benefit from what I was doing as well. But I also wanted to get down to what are really some of the issues that we are facing right now. Now, here's the thing. Of course, this past week, we did hear that former President Donald Trump was going to be indicted. And then we hear that, coming this week, he's going to he's going to surrender. Okay? He's going to go in for arraignment, where, according to reports, he's going to plead not guilty. So that is bringing up a lot of questions from people as to, well, what should we do? Because what we are hearing is that the Trump supporters are not going to go quietly. They are going to back him. I don't know if this means a riot. I don't know if this means, they're in the streets, protesting. I don't know what this means. We're going to find out this coming week. But that's not the only issue. Some of the other issues that we have, for instance, is a banking crisis. This isn't just a crisis here in the U.S. either. This is a crisis all across the world. But we are seeing multiple banks fail. We're seeing the writings on the wall for some other ones as well. And so how do I prepare for a banking crisis? Well, one of the first things that I did back when, and this is something that I've done, for years, because I started doing this back in like 2009, 2010, because I had money in Washington Mutual when it went out of business, and it ended up get picked up by JP Morgan. But this is something that I've been preparing for quite some time. So I don't keep my money in just one bank. I have money in some of the bigger banks. I also have money in credit unions and smaller banks as well. And I just diversify. That's the first thing that I do. The next thing that I got asked was, how are you preparing for a housing crisis? Well, here's the thing. I'm not, again, seeing values just come dropping down and plummeting. Because back in 2008, I wasn't in the same position I am in today, where I can go out and purchase, many properties. I wasn't in that position back then. At that time, I had a house. Hey, it was an investment. But again, and I have that house to this day. Okay? And it's worth a lot more today than it was back in 2008. But here's the thing. I am putting money on the sideline. I'm making sure that I'm not all the way invested into stocks and real estate and gold and silver and cryptocurrencies. I have money sitting on the sideline just in case things tank and I can go and buy some real estate. Okay, because this is going to be the time. This is going to be that time in our history where many people are going to look back and say, I wish I would have invested then. Because I remember back in 2008, I wish I invested more money. I wish I invested more. I wish I sold off the car that I had. I wish I sold off some of the other things that I had back then. And I wish I put it all into the stock market, into real estate. Because that was an incredible time. And I think that's going to be the same thing. So what you need to keep in mind is this is not going to get better until we go through this crisis. We have to go through. So here's some other things. Let's talk about the debt ceiling. This is the next big thing. Because right now, the United States is over $31 trillion in debt. And we know from the Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, she says that our X date is going to come anytime between June and September of 2023, which means at that point, if Congress doesn't step in and increase the debt ceiling or suspend it, we will not have enough money to pay our debts. That's a problem. But what does this mean? Well, this means for me personally, I am always looking into figuring out if Congress is discussing the debt ceiling. You can send letters to your state representatives. I don't know if it's going to do much, but I continue to do it. We still have this issue with Russia and Ukraine and now China. It's a major problem. But again, all this is not going to get better. None of this will get better until we go through the crisis, until we go through the chaos. And that's why I say you need to be prepared. because we are going to have it's going to be all out chaos. Because what's going to happen if more banks fail? If more banks fail, then the American people are going to be skeptical about the banks. They're going to put their money elsewhere. They're going to stick it under the mattress, right? They're going to put it in safety deposit boxes, maybe. Put it in a personal safe. They'll buy cars and buy things that they classify as an asset, which in most cases isn't going to be an asset. But that's what they're going to do. Some are going to buy small businesses. Some are going to pay off their homes, even though inflation's 6% and their mortgage is probably 3 to 4%, and they're going to pay off their homes thinking it's the safest thing to do, and maybe it is. But that's the thing. Right now, things are not going to get better. I continue to tell people this all the time is save money. I remember I was talking to somebody just the other day, and one of the things that they brought up was, how much money should they save? Well, and I told them, all of it. As much money as you possibly can, save it. I'm not saying put it all in a savings account. That's going to pay you absolutely nothing. I'm not saying, cash it out, pull all your money out of the bank and stick it under your pillow. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying try not to spend it. Try not to waste it on debt and, buying a bigger house and a fancier car and nice watches and new clothes if that's not what you need. Don't impress people that you could care less about. Okay? Be ready, because when, we have this SHTF moment before what hits the fan, there's going to be so many opportunities. I'm already seeing them. Just to give you an example. About 6 to 8 months ago, I sent somebody a message about a car. Okay, now it's a nicer car, something that I don't really need, but I sent them a message about a car I thought is a decent deal back then, 6 to 8 months ago. The person replied back, said no, they couldn't, they didn't want to go down any further. Well, the car was like $30-some thousand. Well, now, and I get a message a few days ago, about a week ago maybe, with a person, they're willing to, again, it's like $30-some thousand. Now they're in the low 20s. And they sent me a message just the other day asking, hey, I just lowered the price. Would you want to come take a look at it? This person's eager to unload this car. And at this time, I'm not eager to buy it. And so I let them know that, that's great, but unless you can be down at like this price, which is in the low teens, I'm not even going to bother to come look at it. And the person's like, no, I can't do it. It's just too low. This is my firm price. Then I get a message from the same person like a day later saying that, you know what, I'll consider it. Come take a look. So they're in the over $30,000, mid-30s. Then they went to the low 20s. And now they're going to consider an offer in the low teens. I'm not trying to scam this person or anything out of money. I'm just creating an opportunity for myself. But again, we're going to have so many opportunities like this. It doesn't matter if it's a car, doesn't matter if it's a house, it could be stocks, it could be, I don't think it's going to be gold bars, but you never know. It might be, toys, RVs, things like that, maybe a vacation home, right? Jet skis and all this stuff. People are unloading things because they're trying to figure out a way to get out of all this debt, because a lot of people are paying too much in debt. Again, I've said this before. It's not going to get better until we get through this. But for some people that overspent over the past 3 years, the only way to make things better is to sell off the things that they have, which means it's going to be a great buying opportunity, which is why I keep telling you, save money, put some money on the side, because you never know when a good opportunity is going to come rolling up and you could easily jump on it. So I just wanted to kind of talk to you a little bit today. There was really no purpose behind this other than just be ready, because again, a lot of people are asking, what am I doing to be prepared? What I'm doing is I'm saving the most money possible. Everything that I make, I try to save. My bills are very low, extremely low. And it's great. It's great for the amount of money I make versus what we spend. It's extremely low. And I know everybody can't say that, but I feel fortunate that I can say that. And it's not because I just make so much money, it doesn't matter what I spend. No. I keep everything very low. because I've been through this before. And I remember in 2008, I thought, you know what? If I just had an extra $5, I can get another share of that stock. If I just had an extra $100, I could potentially buy that tool, and I might be able to flip that for double the money in a few months. I remember that. And it's because of that, because I went through that before, I'm not going to let this opportunity slip by. So that's what I want. That's what I want the message today to be. Don't let a golden opportunity slip by just because you're spending too much money on Netflix and Hulu and Starbucks coffees. No, save your money. Be prepared, because it is coming.